September 3rd, 1861. September 3rd, 1861, a Confederate force commanded by Leonidas Polk moves from Tennessee into Kentucky, ending the state's proclaimed neutrality in the war. In the war. Who's this Leonidas Polk? Well, he's a fucking religious piece of shit, a Protestant Episcopalian, fucking Confederate white supremacist douchebag, second cousin to James K. Polk, a planter in Tennessee. Well, there you go. Goddamn. So he sucks Jefferson Davis's dick, right? Just keeps on sucking his dick. And after he sucked his dick a bunch of times, Kentucky claimed neutrality. So the war breaks out for Sumter. Lincoln calls for the troops. A lot of secession happened, but Kentucky said, we're not going to be on one side and we're not going to be on the other. Kentucky declares neutrality, which is smart. I mean, that's how Switzerland has got to save, so much wealth and so much. They got to just keep on building on, adding to their wealth instead of, so let's see, Atlanta campaign and death. He was killed in action by a U.S. 3-inch shell at Pine Mountain on June 14th, 1864. Let's see. The first round from the battery came close. The second came closer. The third shell struck Polk's left arm, and it went through his chest, and it exited. So left arm, chest, and then exited, like just hitting his right arm, and then exploding against a tree. It nearly cut Polk in two. So Leonidas Polk is going to get his just desserts. What did he do that was so bad? Okay, he's a racist and this and that. But Kentucky declared her neutrality, so Lincoln didn't invade Kentucky, not until the Confederates did, because he was respecting the republic that was Kentucky. He said we got to hope to have God on our side, but we must have Kentucky. Now you had Thomas Jefferson saying that we need the revolution every 20 years or so. Every 20 years, we need to see a revolution. He was talking about Shays' Rebellion. And he said, this is beautiful. This is exactly what we're doing. We want a rebellion every once in a while because the tree of liberty is watered by the blood of patriots and tyrants. So he was revolutionary to the fucking core. So by my calculations, let's see, 1776. We could even say that the revolution wasn't complete until the Bill of Rights, 1791, and here it is, 1991, and plus 23, 9, 12. So that's 32 plus 232 years ago. So we're about 232 years late for our second revolution. Just 232. If we needed a revolution every 20 years, then I guess you could call the Civil War, so 1865. So that's still, about 150 or something years. So he committed one of the great blunders of the Civil War. He dispatched troops to occupy Columbus, Kentucky in September 1861. One of the biggest fucking blunders. So he offered his service. He got commissioned a major general. So he's getting paid by the taxes. He committed, one of the greatest blunders of the Civil War, definitely. I mean, basically, that would turn Kentucky. That allowed U.S. Grant is going to invade the state later on when he was a brigadier general. He came in later on, but they invaded it afterwards, the day after. So not only did he fuck up, but he also opened the door for the occupation of federal troops in the critical border state of Kentucky. Polk's actions prompted the Kentucky legislature to request U.S. aid to expel the invaders, ensuring U.S. control of Kentucky for the remainder of the war. So, whoops. Guess you shouldn't have had that fucking rapist. That's a rapist mentality. I'll just invade Kentucky. If Kentucky don't want to love us, we'll make Kentucky love us. I was raised by Confederate child abusers, and yeah, that's exactly who the fuck they are. Yeah, Kathy hit me, and then I got threatened. She tried to hug me, and then I got threatened to get hit later on if I ever made her feel uncomfortable again. If she wants to grab a hold of my arm and try to hug me but end up injuring me, then that's her prerogative. And if I don't like that, then I'm going to get even more violent. So basically they're saying They get to put their hands on me no matter what. Well, hey, we get to hug you, and if you don't want us to hug you, then we get to attack you. Oh, okay, cool. So just whatever. Fuck people who want to do assaults. 20 years revolution. They say it's impossible until it's inevitable. The revolution is impossible until it's inevitable. Could you imagine a revolution that protects the rule of law? Can you imagine a revolution that protects federalism and the rule of law and the three branches of government, our Constitution and the Bill of Rights? Can you imagine a Constitution and a Bill of Rights, a revolution that protects our Constitution and our elections and our freedoms, our civil liberties? The whole point to the United States of America, the whole point to Colorado. Colorado has the almost identical preamble as the American Constitution, but it's to establish justice, to form a more perfect union, to establish justice for domestic tranquility, for the common welfare, for the providing for the common defense, for the welfare of the people, for the domestic tranquility of the people. So that means peace, welfare. That means, that they have the economic means. And then to protect civil liberties. The whole point of America is to protect civil liberties. You didn't know we had freedoms in America? Do you like this country? Do you like this country? The reason why this country is so great is because we have freedom and democracy, right? That's so weird that I have to say that out loud, because I've only heard motherfuckers talk a bunch of shit about freedom and democracy. I remember my teacher when I was younger, what's the First Amendment? I said freedom of speech. He said wrong, freedom of religion. That was the important one. That's the dictator. I got to obey the dumbass dictating motherfucker who's lying to me. The First Amendment is the freedom of speech. Mary Beth. Hey, Mary Beth, you dumb motherfucker. But she didn't want me to know about my freedoms as an American, because it's shut the fuck up, sit down. In public schools, shut the fuck up, sit down. Oh, you're that guy who talks about freedom. Mr. Freedom, man. That's all you do is go on and on about freedom of speech. That's one of my college buddies. Oh, you just talk about freedom of speech. It's like, God, say something else, would you? The great thing about freedom of speech is that it will always defeat authoritarianism. If you could always squeak out some fucking, eye roll or this or that, then it will destroy authoritarians. If you want to convince us. But if you have to force us to do shit, you have to force me to love you. You got to force me to make sure that you're allowed to hug me. Fuck you, you sick fucking pieces of shit. That's some Leonidas Polk shit. So he rapes Kentucky. Leonidas Polk and the Confederates they rape Kentucky. And then after they rape Kentucky, you had, Johnson, Pillow. He was arguing about the strategy as Sidney Johnson. These are Confederates. Polk's command saw its first combat November 7th, 1861. So I just remember U.S. Grant came in, and we have the minor battle of Belmont between the troops under Pillow and U.S. soldiers under Ulysses S. Grant. Polk was wounded nearby on November 11th when the largest cannon in his army, named Lady Polk in honor of his wife, exploded during a demonstration firing. Whoops. That's something happened like that. There was the Fort Sumter. Nobody died at Fort Sumter except when they went to evacuate. So the Union general was going to evacuate. So they had an evacuation ceremony, and they exploded a cannon. And then that cannon, so friendly fire killed a couple Union guys. Friendly fire killed a couple Union guys when they went to capture Jefferson Davis too. Friendly fire killed what's his name in Iraq? Tillman. Pat Tillman was killed by friendly fire. That big ass, strong ass beast. God damn, think about all the fucking movies. He was a real life Rambo. So we sent real life Rambo to Afghanistan, and then we shot him. And then we said whoopsie daisy, and then that was it. That was the end of. So the explosion stunned Polk and blew his clothes off, requiring several weeks of recovery. So Jesus fuck. The invasion was a bad idea. Basically, he's a terrible fucking, just look at him. He's a Presbyterian. He's a man of God. He's not a warrior. He was of Scottish descent, though, Anglo and Huguenot. Capitalizing on his position as chief surveyor of the Central District of Tennessee, he had 100,000 acres. Well, fuck that guy then, huh? Fuck that guy. Did he have slaves? He had 100,000. Did he have slaves? Yes or no? Did he have slaves, you motherfucker? The Polks had 8 children. St. John's Episcopal Church, Virginia Theological Seminary, University of the South. Yep, there it is. In 1850, the census recorded that Polk enslaved 400 people, but other estimates are as high as 1,000. Well, there you go. Leonidas Polk had to invade Kentucky because he was a slave-owning piece of shit. He had 100,000 acres, and he wasn't going to farm all of it, and he wasn't going to break up the fucking acreage so each slave could have their own 40 acres and a mule. He was like the largest enslaver in that county, Maury County, Tennessee. The home was called Ashwood Hall. You know, if you only have your home just has a number on it, you're just a peasant. Your home doesn't, is it name? Your home doesn't have a name? Oh, I live on 33 Smith Avenue. Oh, the old 33 Smith Avenue property? You mean Monticello? He built a family chapel with his 4 brothers in Maury. 400 enslaved. So there you go. That's it. He's a slave-owning, white supremacist pile of shit. They're going to take away my slaves, but that means I'll have to go out and work. I like them doing the work and me taking all their labor. I like just taking like the cream off the top. They do all the work. They do all the sweat, and then I exploit them. Hey, I feed them every once in a while. Well, don't hate me. Don't hate me. I'm just Leonidas Polk. I'm just a... And then what the fuck is Christian about that? You do unto others as you'd want done to yourself. Well, I want 100,000 acres and 1,000 folks to do whatever I say. Well, what about the 1,000 folks? Do they get 100,000 acres? No. You're not really a Christian, are you? You ever heard of do unto others as you want? That's the golden rule. It's also very logical. The reason why people shouldn't go around raping and murdering and pillaging is because you don't want to get raped and murdered and pillaged, right? Leonidas Polk, you treat others the way you want to be treated, and then that's why you don't get cut in half by a cannon. September 3rd, 1861. Kentucky is going to get raped by Leonidas Polk. So we should actually thank him in the long run, because at first it's like, what the fuck? But then the legislature asked for reinforcements, so U.S. Grant goes into Kentucky with Kentucky's permission. U.S. Grant, Abraham Lincoln made sure they got consent before they entered Kentucky. Which that's the difference. That's the difference between whether or not you're Donald Trump raping Jean Carroll or how he's been accused of raping that 13-year-old with Epstein. I mean, that's rape is wrong, right? Don't assault, don't rape, don't steal, and don't murder. I'm pretty sure the Bible is against these things there, Leonidas Polk. You wicked bitch-ass piece of shit.